Gage Primar here, crushbackpain.com. Today we're going to talk about lower back pain after squats. If this video helps you, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the Crush Back Pain YouTube channel. Lower back pain after squats is super common, and the usual culprit is lumbar flexion under load. So when you put a bar on your back, or you're doing a front squat, or you're doing dumbbell squats, kettlebell squats, goblet squats, bodyweight squats, doesn't matter. If you're getting repetitive lumbar flexion in that bottom position of the squat, that is going to put more pressure on the back part of the disc. So if you have a disc bulge or a disc herniation, or even if you don't have a bulge or herniation, that back part of the disc has nerve endings, and you can just irritate that tissue and it can become painful. So that's the usual issue with lower back pain after squats. Now, when you have a bar on your back, or you have your dumbbells or your kettlebell or whatever, you're under load, so that lumbar flexion under load, that puts even more pressure on that back part of the disc. So the way you fix that is you don't have lumbar flexion while you squat. That can entail not going as deep, and it can also entail improving hip flexion, improving ankle dorsiflexion, improving core stability, using a belt. And we're going to talk more about different ways to reduce lumbar flexion while squatting in the next video. But today we want to talk more about how to maintain that lumbar spine in the neutral position and show you what it looks like. So I've got the squat rack here. I'm going to throw this bar on my back and get in a side view so you can see my lower back, so you can see my lumbar spine, and that way you'll have a better feel. So we'll put this bar here, okay, and let's just flip this guy around. Good. So you can see my lumbar spine here, and I'm just going to squat down, and I'm just going to come down and back up. Now, I kept my lumbar spine extended to neutral, and you can see I'm coming down, coming back up. Pay attention to this part here. Now, this time I'm going to let it flex. I'm going to let it round out. So I'm going to come down and just let that flex in that bottom position. And I can feel that right away. I don't like that. If I let my back flex when I squat, it's going to bother me. So what we don't want is this. And pay attention to my lower back. Come down, come down, come down. And then you let it start to round out. That's what we don't want. We want you to be here, and you come down and that back doesn't round out at all. If you keep the back extended to neutral, what that does is it minimizes the load through the posterior part of the disc, and it allows the lumbar spine to tolerate the compression. When you let the lumbar spine flex, it does not tolerate compression as well. The disc does not tolerate compression as well. You can put a bar on your back, just like I have right now, and you can just roll your pelvis forward and back, and you can feel. I mean, if I have the bar here, obviously I've got some load on my spine with the bar, feels fine. But when I flex my lumbar spine, when I let that flex, I can feel it in my lower back. It doesn't hurt, but I can feel it. Right here, I feel nothing in my lower back. Here, I let that spine flex, I can feel it. So when you squat and you've got load, and then you're doing reps, and you're coming down, coming back up, and you're doing a set of 8, 10, 12 squats, when you're getting that lumbar flexion with every rep under load, that's going to bother your back. I mean, even if you don't really have a back problem, if you're doing that consistently, eventually you're going to get some lower back pain. So you want to really just not allow that to happen. And like we talked about, sometimes you're getting too deep, and that's going to tilt that pelvis back and flex that lumbar spine. You can just not go as deep. Usually go into parallel, where the femur, the thigh is parallel to the floor. Usually that's deep enough. I mean, and you can maintain a neutral lumbar spine, or to an extended lumbar spine, with the femurs parallel. It's really, usually with most people, when you get down below parallel and that back rounds out, that's usually where people run into problems. Now, unless you're training for Olympic lifting or you're squatting in a powerlifting competition, parallel's deep enough. Even if you're squatting in a powerlifting competition, parallel is deep enough. Olympic lifting, obviously, you've got to get deeper, so that's a different story. Most people aren't competitive Olympic lifters, so you don't really need to worry about it. And even for athletic pursuits, volleyball, basketball, football, what have you, squatting to parallel is plenty. Usually you're not going to, I mean, for basketball and volleyball especially, you don't bend all the way down here and jump. It's more of a quick, it's more about power and explosiveness. So squatting to parallel is plenty. For bodybuilders, again, they want to work the joints, the muscles through a full range of motion. That's great. But again, squatting to parallel is going to be adequate to build muscle, to hypertrophy, quadriceps, glutes, what have you. In the next video, we're going to look more closely at how you can improve hip flexion, how you can improve ankle dorsiflexion, how you can do some different drills that will help improve mobility in those areas, which will allow you to squat with less lumbar flexion. Okay? So, check back. Next video, we'll have some ways to troubleshoot different areas if you are getting lower back pain after squats.